What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of MLB action here on Tuesday, June 4th. Not a great Monday out there, guys. Looking like we're going to go 2-2 at best. Had some weird offensive games there from the Mets and the Washington Nationals. Did not expect to see that level of scoring in that game, and yeah, they were piling it on. Also, the Cardinals and the Houston Astros. That under was no good. They ended up scoring a ton of runs in that game somehow. No idea. Like, with Verlander out there and Gibson out there, you'd have thought it would be a struggle between two very good pitchers, but that's not what we got. Two offenses that haven't been producing put up a bunch of runs. We did get the Tigers to get the win for us there at -114, so a little bit of healing there, and we still have the Padres live at -122, so they've definitely got a shot. Currently, it's tied up 1-1 in the bottom of the 7th, so hopefully they come through for us, but decided to go ahead and hop on here and get things going so we can get this video out to you as early as possible. Let's try to get back on track here heading into this full Tuesday slate. First, guys, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game today. We've got the Kansas City Royals taking on the Cleveland Guardians. The Royals come into this game fresh off of a 4-3 walk-off win in Game 3 of their series there against the San Diego Padres. Yeah, they needed that one to just salvage a win out of that series. Things weren't looking too hot for him in that one. They're going to be handing the ball in this game to Seth Lugo, who's 9-1 on the season with a 1.72 ERA. Lugo has been absolutely nuts lately. We've seen the Royals go 4-0 his last 4 starts. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs. Actually, he's only given up 2 earned runs once over those last 4 starts. Yeah, he's just been absolutely dealing out there. He's went 6, 7, 5 2/3, and 8 innings respectively. Now, looking at the teams he faced over that stretch, maybe not amazing competition, but he hit double-digit strikeouts in 2 of those games. So regardless, Seth Lugo, huge plus-level starter out there for the Royals. Absolutely no doubt about it. The Kansas City bullpen isn't looking amazing, but isn't looking terrible. They're hovering around league average. The offense hasn't been having a great time lately. I mean, 4, 3, 8, 6, like that's what they've scored over the last 4 games. So not amazing, not terrible. They're sitting at 5th in the majors somehow in runs scored, though 7th in the majors in batting average, batting .252 as a team, and they're 13th in the majors in on-base percentage, but all those numbers are at least slightly trending down after their series there against the Padres. They're going to hope they can get things going here against the Guardians, who come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. They did drop the last game of that series 5-2. They're hitting the ball in this one to Tristan McKenzie. He's 2-3 on the season with a 3.77 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty mediocre start at Colorado, guys. He went 5 innings, he had 6 hits, 4 earned runs. He had 2 home runs in that game. He's actually given up 2, 3, and 1 home runs over his last 3 starts, and that was in games against Colorado, the Mets, and the Minnesota Twins. So not exactly super elite teams out there. His start against the Twins was very good, but his last time out against Colorado, not great, and his time before that out against the Mets, also not amazing. So I'm not going to lie, guys, we're not super high on him right now. I mean, he's had his moments this season, don't get me wrong, but in general, not looking amazing out there at this moment. The Guardians' bullpen has been fantastic this year, guys. They've been top 2 or 3. They've got a bullpen ERA of around 2.40, so not too shabby at all, and this offense has put up good numbers over the course of the season. I have some question marks about them right now. I mean, they scored 2, 3, and 7 runs against the Washington Nationals, so not exactly the best showing in that series. They're 4th in the majors in runs scored, though, 8th in the majors in on-base percentage. Their team batting average is down below league average, which is a little bit weird, but having Quan back, I think, definitely helps them. So we'll just have to see how they can do in this one. It seems like kind of a tough spot here against Kansas City, but the Royals are plus 104 in this game. The Guardians are minus 122. We've got an over-under of 8.5. We see Cleveland is a great home team. They've got the best home record in the major leagues. They're 20-7 at home. The Royals are not nearly as good on the road as they are at home, guys. They are only 14-15 on the road, so that's definitely something to take into account. And I mean, Lugo has been fine, I will say, like on the road recently. I mean, 2 very good starts against the Twins and the Tampa Bay Rays. So in general, guys, looking at this one, I don't have a huge lean either way. I don't trust Cleveland's starter, so I guess go ahead and give me the Royals plus 104 in this game. Having them on the road, it seems a little bit sketchy though, so I think that's what will probably end up keeping this pick out of the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Los Angeles Dodgers going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Dodgers come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 against the Colorado Rockies. Got off to a bad start in that series, but then won the last 2, 4-1, and then 4-0. This offense still not exactly where we would hope it would be, but at 38-23 in the season, they're probably not crying about that. Tyler Glasnow's getting the start for him in this one. He's 6-3 on the season with a 3.04 ERA, coming off of a dominant start against the Mets, where he went 7 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, and struck out 8. He's looked pretty reasonable lately. I mean, he did have a mediocre start in there against Cincinnati Reds, but he's got a great start against the Padres, a very good start against the Atlanta Braves, so got to feel good about that, and it's not like he's taking on an amazing hitting opponent. We also look at the Dodgers' bullpen ERA of 2.95. That's pretty solid. That's got them close to the top 5 in the majors. And their offense, man, if their offense can just come alive, this team will reel off a million wins. I mean, obviously they have won 5 of their last 6 overall, so they're winning games right now regardless. But yeah, just not really putting up those crazy eye-popping offensive numbers they were earlier in the season. But everybody swinging the bat relatively well. I think they're going to get back on track here at some point, and they're hoping they can get back on track against the Pirates, who just lost 2 out of 3 to the Toronto Blue Jays. They're 27-32 on the year, handing the ball to Jared Jones in this game. He's 3-5 on the season with a 3.55 ERA, coming off getting absolutely shelled by the Tigers. Start for that, and he didn't do great against the Giants. Start for that, not great against the Cubs. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts, so not throwing the ball his best this season. I mean, he had some very good starts earlier in the year for sure, but not somebody that I think we can be super pumped about. Not something we're looking at like shutting down an opponent. And the Pirates bullpen also hasn't been great with an ERA of over 4, so that's not ideal. The Pirates offense also, like, they scored 4, 8, and 3 runs against the Toronto Blue Jays, so I mean, not terrible. We'll give them some credit there, but also not elite. This is not an elite offensive team, guys. They're 25th in the majors in on-base percentage, 25th in the majors, batting .229 as a squad. Like, not a great offensive team, and obviously not swinging the hottest bats. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Dodgers are only minus 185. The Pirates are plus 158, and we've got over-under showing of 7.5 or 8. Also, we want to look at the run line numbers for this game, guys. If you take the Dodgers minus 1.5, you can get them at minus 110. That looks pretty appealing to me. I mean, the Dodgers are a solid 16-11 on the road, so nothing wrong with that. Guys, this has a very solid chance to end up in the pinned comment. Give me the Dodgers minus 1.5 in this game. Next up, guys, we got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. We saw the Brewers take the 3-1 loss in Game 1 of this series. They're 36-24 on the year. They just had their little winning streak there get snapped. They're hitting the ball in this one to Colin Ray, who's 4-2 on the season with a 3.77 ERA. He's coming off a very good start against the Chicago Cubs, where he went 5 1/3, gave up only a single run on 5 hits. He did give up a home run in that game, and he's given up 1 home run in 3 out of his last 5 appearances, so maybe not amazing there. He hasn't had the best time lately. I mean, I don't know. I guess it was back on the 19th when he got shelled by the Houston Astros, and then the start for that, he didn't have a good time against the Pirates, so we've got some question marks about him for sure. He's not looking terrible right now, but he's also not necessarily looking amazing. The Milwaukee Brewers bullpen, though, is very good. A 2.60 bullpen ERA has them 3rd in the majors at the moment, and this offense is very good, although they did not look good against Wheeler in Game 1, putting up only a single run, so maybe they're not swinging the hottest bats right now, but this team is 2nd in the majors in runs scored, 2nd in the majors in team batting average, batting .259 as a squad. Like, this is an elite team at the plate, and they're hoping they can keep it rolling at the plate here going up against the Phillies, who got the Game 1 win. They're going to be hitting the ball in this one to Christopher Sanchez, who's 3-3 on the season with a 2.83 ERA. He's coming off a dominant start at the Giants, guys, where he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs. He walked 1 and struck out 7 in that outing, so very solid stuff there. The start for that was also very good against the Colorado Rockies. He did give up 7 hits, but only a single earned run. The start for that was good against the Washington Nationals, so definitely somebody that's throwing the ball pretty well. He's seemingly gotten stronger as the season has progressed here, so definitely something positive to look at there. And the Phillies bullpen is also pretty solid, guys. A bullpen ERA of 3.02 is nothing to turn your nose up at. This offense is probably the best offense in baseball, guys. I don't think there's really a whole lot of ways around it right now. There may be a little bit banged up. I mean, we see Marsh on the IL with a hamstring issue, so we'll just have to see what ends up, how they end up doing in this one. We've seen Trey Turner go down. We see Brandon Marsh out also, so I've got some question marks about this offense. They're definitely not at 100% right now, but they managed to score 3 runs in Game 1 of this series, so that's something. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Brewers at plus 142, the Phillies at minus 168, and we got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. We see Milwaukee is an MLB best, 34-22 and 3 to the over. Philadelphia is a great home team. They're 24-9 at home. This is a tough game to figure out, guys. I mean, I don't hate Colin Ray out there on the mound. I also don't hate the way Christopher Sanchez is throwing the ball. It's a little bit tough looking at the Phillies missing some guys out there, like in terms of where their offensive production will be. So I don't think this is going to make it into the pinned comment. I'm leaning slightly towards the Brewers plus 142. I think it's a decent spot for this underdog, but will this end up in the pinned comment? I'm not really sure if I've got that much faith in Colin Ray. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. The Rays come into this game fresh off of a 4-3 win there to salvage a win in their series against Baltimore. That was a crazy game. Baltimore had 15 hits and only scored 3 runs, so definitely lucky there for the Rays to come away with that win. They're 29-31 on the season, hitting the ball in this game to Ryan Pepio, who's 3-2 on the season with a 3.88 ERA. He's coming off a good start against the Oakland A's. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits. Didn't give up a home run, hasn't given up a home run in his last 2 starts. He did walk 4 against Boston back on the 22nd, so that wasn't ideal, but in general, he's looked pretty decent throwing the ball lately. We're going to look at him, since coming back there off of the IL, as an above average starting option for sure. And in general, guys, the Tampa Bay Rays bullpen hasn't been a disaster, but it hasn't been great. They're 20th in the majors with a 3.75 bullpen ERA. Their offense hasn't been putting up a ton of runs. I mean, 4, 5, and 1 runs in that series against Baltimore, so not great. They did have a very good series there against the Oakland A's, so I don't know. We'll give them maybe a little bit of credit, but this is not a plus level offensive team, guys. This is definitely a below average offense. I mean, 21st in batting average, 23rd in runs scored, 28th in slugging percentage. Not a team you can trust to hit the ball hard. They're going to need to score some runs here going up against the Marlins, who are 21-39 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to Jesus Luzardo, who's 2-4 in the year with a 4.18 ERA. He's coming off a kind of mediocre start there against the San Diego Padres. I mean, 7 hits and 3 earned runs over 6 innings isn't terrible, but also isn't amazing. His start before that was amazing, though. He, at home against the Milwaukee Brewers, went 8 innings, gave up 3 hits, no runs, while striking out 4 in a game that his team won 1-0. So absolutely elite stuff from him there, and he's pitching at home again in this one, so that's definitely something to take into consideration, guys. The Marlins bullpen has been better than you would expect. I mean, the Marlins have a bullpen ERA of 3.42, which is above average in the majors. It has them ranked around 12th, so that's not bad. The offense obviously is spluttering. They've been shut out over their last 2 games, but to some extent, I feel like that means they're a little bit due to score some runs. I mean, yeah, 29th in the majors in runs scored and 29th in the majors in on-base percentage is not a great look, but they are 17th in batting average, so maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Rays at -118, the Marlins at plus 102, and we've got an over-under of 7.5. The Marlins are not good, guys. They're only 11-21 at home. The Rays are 12-13 on the road. This is a tough one. I kind of lean towards the Marlins at home in this one, to be honest. I mean, I like what Luzardo is doing out there. I also don't hate the under in this game, but guys, generally speaking, give me the Marlins plus 102, but I don't think I have the guts to put the Miami Marlins in the pinned comment in this one. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. We see the Mets come into this game fresh off of a win here in Game 1 of this series, a much higher scoring game than we would have ever imagined. They won 8-7. They're only 25-35 on the season, hitting the ball in this game to David Peterson, who's yet to register a result. He's going to be making only his 2nd start of the year. His first one, he got thrown into the deep end a little bit against the Dodgers. He went 5 innings, gave up 7 hits, and 2 earned runs. So, I mean, he wasn't a nightmare out there, but obviously not great. He's going to be making his 2nd start of the year, and he's going up against a much less scary opponent. I mean, obviously, the Mets bullpen, guys, has actually been very, very good. They're top 5 in the majors in bullpen ERA. Their offense, though, has not been amazing. They are coming off a game where they scored 8 runs, and they have scored 8, 4, 5, and 10 runs over their last 4 games, so we'll give them some credit. Their bats seem to be coming around at least here a little bit. I mean, they're 18th in runs scored and 19th in on-base percentage, so it's not necessarily an alert the press style of offense, but it's trending in a positive direction, and I don't think we actually hate having David Peterson out there on the mound. The Nationals come into this game fresh off of that Game 1 loss. They've lost 3 out of their last 4, and they're 27-32 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Trevor Williams, who's been lights out this year, guys. He's 5-0 with a 2.22 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there against the Atlanta Braves. He only went 5 2/3 innings, but he only allowed 4 hits, a single earned run, and struck out 4, so he looked very, very good. He's got a good start against the Phillies over his last 5 starts. He's also got a good start in there against the Baltimore Orioles, and we do see the Nationals are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, and that's including games against some pretty solid teams. I mean, the only bad team in there is the White Sox, and he was very good against them, so definitely looking at that as something of a positive. I mean, the Washington Nationals bullpen isn't a disaster. They're 18th in the majors with a bullpen ERA of 3.65, so that's not too bad. Their offense has been a little bit questionable, guys. I mean, they did just score 7 and 5 runs over their last 2 games, so not necessarily swinging cold bats at all right now, but this team is only 27th in the majors in slugging percentage and 26th in the majors in runs scored. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, this is a little bit scary, but the under looks very good. Again, we see an over-under of 8.5, and with Williams and Peterson out there on the mound, I don't think we're going to see a ton of offense. I'm also fairly interested here in the Nationals plus 108. I mean, at home, they are only 10 and 13, which isn't amazing, but the Mets are only 11 and 14 on the road, so that's not insane. Guys, I'm leaning towards the Nationals and towards the under in this game. Will it end up in the pinned comment? I'm not 100% sure. It seems a little bit unlikely to me, but we'll just have to wait and see how this one shakes out. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Twins come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 against the Houston Astros. They're now 33 and 26 on the season, motoring right along here. They're handing the ball in this one to Bailey Ober, who's 5 and 3 on the year with a 4.89 ERA, looking to bounce back from getting absolutely shelled by the Kansas City Royals. He gave up 9 hits and 6 earned runs over 5 innings. He gave up 3 home runs in that game. Not great. And in general, guys, he's been decent this year, although he has had these weird starts. Like, he also got shelled by the Cleveland Guardians, so not somebody we think is, a lock to have a solid outing, not a lock to have a solid outing by any stretch of the imagination. And the Minnesota bullpen is exactly league average, so you can count on them to hold things down a little bit, but it's not a lock there either. The Twins offense has been decent lately. I mean, they've scored 4, 2, 6, and 7 runs over their last 4 games, but in general, guys, this is looking like around a league average type of offense. They're 12th in runs scored, 21st in on base percentage, which isn't super promising, and we don't see anybody on this roster that we're really super scared to see at the plate. So in general, guys, not super scared of them. They're taking on the New York Yankees, who come to this game winners of 5 in a row. They're 42 and 19 on the season, so that probably feels pretty great. They're handing the ball in this one to Luis Gil, who's gotten off to a fantastic start to his year. He's 7-1 overall with a 1.99 ERA, so he's been looking great. His last start was fantastic against the Angels. He went 8 innings, gave up 2 hits, only a single earned run. It was a home run. He struck out 9 and walked 2. He's been absolutely dealing. Over his last 5 starts, which the Yankees are undefeated, and they've won every game of that stretch except for the last one against the Angels by at least several runs. I mean, they won that one against the Angels by only a single run. It was a really weird game. The Yankees could not hit the ball at all in that one. We also see the Yankees have the best bullpen ERA in the majors, so that's something to take into account. And this is one of the best offensive teams in the majors also. They're absolutely killing it at the plate right now. They've scored 7, 7, 6, and 8 runs over their last 4. Nothing wrong with that. First in the majors in slugging percentage, second in the majors in on-base percentage. Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, both absolutely killing it right now. So definitely very interested in the Yankees in this game. We see the Twins at plus 146, the Yankees at minus 165. We see over-unders of 8 and 7.5 bouncing around out there. Looking at the run line in this game, guys, we see if you take the Yankees minus 1.5, you can get them at plus 130. Yes, please, guys. Put me on the board for this one going in the pin comment for sure. Give me the Yankees minus 1.5. I think they win at home comfortably in this one, where they're 18 and 8 on the season. So give me the Yankees minus 1.5 in this one with Luis Gil on the mound, no problem. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Orioles come into this game 38 and 20 on the season after winning game 1 of this series handily 7-2. So they'll take that. They're probably not too sad to be handing the ball in this next one to Corbin Burns, who's 5 and 2 on the season with a 2.35 ERA, and he's coming off a absolutely dominant start against the Boston Red Sox, where he went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits and only a single run, which wasn't even earned. We also see back on the 13th of this month, he had a very good outing against Toronto, where he went 6 innings, gave up only a single earned run. It was a game that we did see the Orioles eventually lose 3-2 in extra innings, but hey, Burns did his job. He kept his team in the game in a big way in that one, and he's looked very good this season. So feeling good about that for sure. In terms of their bullpen, the Baltimore bullpen's pretty much around league average, but a 3.48 bullpen ERA is nothing terrible. So not going to be looking at that as a big plus or a big minus. This offense, though, is definitely a big plus, coming off a game where they scored 7 runs. They've scored 7, 3, and 9 runs over their last 3 games. We see Gunnar Henderson as one of the most exciting young players in all of Major Baseball. They second in the majors in slugging percentage, 7th in the majors in runs scored. They're covering around league average on base percentage, but their team batting average is top 10 in the majors, so nothing at all wrong with their offense. They're hoping they can keep things rolling here going up against the Toronto Blue Jays, who are 28 and 31 on the season and don't have a starter confirmed yet for this game. I mean, in general, guys, this pitching staff hasn't been terrible. I mean, they're 6th in the majors with 28 quality starts. They are 26th in the majors, though, in batting average allowed, so that's not great. The bullpen, guys, the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen is pretty bad. 25th in the majors with a 4.00 bullpen ERA. That's not great. That's not going to put you in a position to win, even if your starter has a good outing. And this offense really is expected to carry a big load, but that has not generally happened over the course of the season. I mean, over the last few games, it hasn't looked terrible. I mean, they scored 2, 5, 1, 5, and 3 runs over their last 5. So not amazing, guys. Not amazing. Not an offense that I'm really going to bank on putting up a ton of runs. They are 10th in the major leagues in on-base percentage, so that's a little something, but yeah, I have a lot of question marks still about this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Orioles are minus 162. The Blue Jays are plus 136. And we've got an over-under of 8.5. Baltimore's a fantastic road team, guys. They're 16-8 on the road. We also see they're an over team. We're not super interested in the over-under in this game, and we're gonna, not really know what we're actually picking on this game for sure. Like, this can't end up in the pin comment yet until we know who is pitching for Toronto, but I'm leaning towards Baltimore pretty hard in this game. Definitely check that pinned comment. There's a very reasonable chance that this game ends up down in there, because if we see the Blue Jays are putting a starter out there that we don't love, we'll definitely be on the Orioles. Moving right along, guys, we've got the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Braves come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 against the Oakland A's. They won game 3 there, 3-1. They're 33-24 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Max Fried, who's 5-2 on the year with a 2.97 ERA, coming off of a shutout performance against the Washington Nationals. He went 8 innings. He did give up 7 hits, but no runs in that outing. 6 strikeouts, only 1 walk. It's his second very good start in a row, and really he's looked good in 3 out of his last 4, with the only problem there being a start where he got shelled by the San Diego Padres. But yeah, he's looked pretty good, although his good starts were against Washington, Chicago, and the Mets, so not exactly the best hitting teams that he's dominating. But in general, guys, we're going to give him a lot of credit. I think he's a plus level starter in this situation. And in general, guys, looking at the Atlanta bullpen, they've also been pretty reasonable. I mean, they're top 10 in the majors with a 3.25 bullpen ERA. And this offense, while it hasn't looked amazing lately, I mean, they scored 3, 9, 4, 1, and 2 runs over the last few games. That's not exactly amazing, but they are 8th in slugging percentage, 8th in batting average, 7th getting on base at a 317 clip. So good, but not necessarily amazing. I think we can look at this as a slightly plus level offense, but maybe not like completely plus level. And yeah, when you lose one of your best players, it's going to be a little bit tough, but it seems like they're figuring things out, and they're hoping they can keep figuring things out here going up against the Boston Red Sox, who are 30-30 on the season, coming off of a loss to the Detroit Tigers. Yeah, that can't feel too great, guys. I mean, not having the season they imagined. They're handing the ball in this one to Cutter Crawford, who's 2-4 in the year with a 3.29 ERA, coming off of getting shelled by the Baltimore Orioles. We also see that Crawford is 0-5, or not, Crawford's not 0-5, but the Red Sox are 0-5 in Crawford's last 5 starts, so that can't feel too good. I mean, he got shelled by the Orioles and the Brewers over his last couple games, so those are 2 very good hitting teams. We'll cut him a little bit of slack here, but he's facing a team that can hit the ball a bit also. And in general, guys, the Red Sox bullpen has been better than you would expect it to with all the injuries they've had. I mean, they're 11th in the majors with a 3.37 bullpen ERA, so not terrible at all. Above average for sure, but things haven't just really worked out the way that Boston fans would have wanted to. I mean, they're 11th in the majors in runs scored, 14th in the majors in on-base percentage. But yeah, still sitting there at 500 this deep into the season. Cannot feel great. The Braves are minus 152 in this game. The Red Sox are plus 143, and we've got an over-under in this one of 8.5. Guys, in general, I'm leaning towards the Atlanta Braves minus 152 on the road in this game. I mean, Boston is pretty bad at home. They're only 13-17 on their home field, like they're at Fenway, so that's not great. Atlanta's 14-12 on the road, which isn't terrible. We do see both teams showing fairly significant trends towards the under, but I don't really know if I love the under in this spot. I mean, Boston's 31-24-5 to the under. Atlanta's 34-21-2 to the under, and it is at 8.5, but I don't know if I have that much faith in these 2 starters, so just go ahead and give me the Atlanta Braves minus 152, and we'll see if this ends up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we got the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. So the little battle for Chicago here. We've got the White Sox coming into this game fresh off of their 11th straight loss. They just got swept by the Milwaukee Brewers. They're 15-45 on the season. Yeah, not great, guys. They're handing the ball in this one to Chris Flexen, who's 2-5 on the year with a 5.50 ERA. He's coming off of a mediocre start against the Blue Jays, where he went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. He walked 5 in that outing, so that's not great. And he hasn't had the best time lately. He's been facing some pretty tough opponents. I mean, he faced the Yankees, the Baltimore Orioles. Like, he's had his tough starts in here. He's had a little bit of success, but not exactly someone I'm going to be freaking out about. The White Sox bullpen in general, guys, has been better than you would think. I mean, they're 13th in the majors with a 3.45 bullpen ERA, but the problem is they cannot score any runs, guys. This is a terrible, terrible offensive team. No way around that. Not going to spend a bunch of time talking about the White Sox offense. They're the worst offense in the majors, and it is not particularly close. They're taking on the Chicago Cubs, who have not been having a good time. They've lost 4 of their last 5, so that's obviously not amazing. They're 29-31 on the season, falling way behind the Milwaukee Brewers there in the NL Central. They're hitting the ball in this game to Shota Imanaga, who's 5-1 on the season with a 1.86 ERA. He's coming off of a terrible start there against the Milwaukee Brewers, where he just looked absolutely awful. 4 1/3 innings, 8 hits allowed, 7 earned runs allowed, 2 home runs. Like, this dude has been lights out all season long. He finally got, and I think it's time to see him bounce back. And I think we definitely will see him bounce back. I mean, he's an absolute monster out there. We do see that the Cubs bullpen is something of a problem. They're 22nd in the majors with a 3.85 bullpen ERA, so that's not what you want. But with Imanaga out there on the mound, you can kind of expect him to go fairly deep into the game. Their bats haven't been great recently either, guys. They scored 2, 7, 4, 4, 6, and 6 runs. So, like, they've been putting up some runs, but not a ton. They're 15th in the majors in on-base percentage. This is a fairly average offensive team, although their team batting average is all the way down to 228 on the year. So that's not exactly fantastic. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the White Sox at plus 240, the Cubs at minus 290. We've got an over-under in this game of 9. Yeah, the Cubs are a decent home team. They're 16-13 at home, but the White Sox are 5-24 on the road. We see both teams showing almost identical, or actually literally identical numbers towards the under. They're both 30, 27, and 3 to the under. And we've got an over-under of 9 in this game, so if you wanted to get on the under, that would make some sense to me, especially with Imanaga out there on the mound. But in general, guys, I'm looking at the Cubs just to win this game. If you take a minus 1.5, you can get them at minus 130, which is pretty appealing with Imanaga on the mound, and I think he maybe will throw a complete game shutout here against the White Sox. So give me the Cubs, minus 1.5 in this one with some sort of chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The Tigers come to this game fresh off of winning game 1 2-1 there. They're 30-30 on the year, so maybe not exactly where they were hoping to be, but things aren't looking awful. They're hitting the ball in this one to Jack Flaherty, who's 2-4 in the season with a 3.46 ERA, coming off a shutout, a dominant shutout performance there against the Boston Red Sox. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave only a single hit, and struck out 9 while walking 1, and he allowed 0 runs. He has not allowed more than 3 earned runs over any of his last 5 starts, including outings against Cleveland, Houston, Arizona, Toronto, and that last one against Boston. We do see the Tigers are only 2-3 over those starts, so not getting a ton of run support, but not getting 0 run support. And in terms of the Tigers bullpen in general, it hasn't looked bad at all. They're 4th in the majors in bullpen ERA with a 2.81 bullpen ERA, so that's pretty solid. Their offense hasn't been great, guys. 2, 8, and 3 runs over their last 3, so not amazing there. They're 17th in the majors in runs scored, 18th in the majors in batting average. Like, this is looking like an average at best offensive team, but average might be good enough for them if they can get good enough pitching. And they're hoping their pitching can hold up here against the Texas Rangers, who are 29-31 on the season. Coming off that 2-1 loss, they're hitting the ball in this one to Dane Dunning, who's 4-3 on the year with a 3.94 ERA. He's coming off a very good start against the Arizona Diamondbacks, where he went 5 innings, gave it 3 hits, 4 walks in that one, but 6 strikeouts. So he struggled with his control a little bit his last time out, but nothing awful. Start before that, he got shelled by the Phillies, but it was the Phillies. This isn't a guy you can count on to go very deep into the game, though, and looking at the Rangers bullpen, that is a huge concern because they've got a bullpen ERA of 4.10, so that's pretty bad, and their offense isn't putting up a ton of runs. I mean, they only scored 1 run in game 1 of the series. That was against Skubal, who's a monster, so, you know, cut them some slack for that, I suppose. They scored 6 and 7 over their last 2 games against the Marlins, but that's the Marlins, guys. This is an offense I'm particularly scared of, despite the fact they're 10th in the majors in runs scored and 11th in the majors in on-base percentage. They can score some runs, sure, but they need pretty ideal conditions for those runs to be scored, so definitely not pumped about this offense. Looking at the numbers, we see the Tigers at minus 118, the Rangers at plus 100. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Guys, in general, I'm leaning towards the Tigers minus 118. I'm not too interested in the over-under in this one. We've got mixed trends there, but the Tigers minus 118 seems fairly reasonable. I don't have any faith in Dane Dunning. The Tigers are only 15-15 on the road, so can we trust them to win a second straight road game? That seems like kind of a big ask, so I'm not sure if this will end up at the pinned comment or not, but I do think Detroit is in a pretty good spot, and Flaherty has been throwing the ball really, really well as of late. Next up, guys, we're looking at the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road here to take on the Houston Astros. We saw the Astros get the 7-4 win, or the Cardinals take the 7-4 loss there in Game 1. They're 28-30 on the season. Going into Game 2 of this series, they're handing the ball to Andre Pallante, who's, yet to figure in a result. He just made his first start of the year. His last time out was a start there at Cincinnati where he looked very good. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, no runs. He walked 3 and struck out 4. Cincinnati Reds are not the most challenging team to pitch against. I mean, his outing before that, back on 4/20, he got shelled by the Brewers, so I don't know. I mean, he was coming out of the bullpen, a whole different situation there, but he looked very, very good his last time out, so we'll take that into consideration. But this young 25-year-old, I don't think we're exactly going to be penciling him in as a plus-level starter right now. And the Cardinals' bullpen hasn't been great, guys. They're 23rd in the majors with a 3.90 bullpen ERA, and we all know this team has had their offensive struggles this year. I mean, they did score 4 runs in Game 1 of this series, so that's not terrible for them, but man, there's a reason they're 28th in the majors in runs scored and 22nd in the majors in team batting average. Batting .233 as a team, you do not deserve to score very many runs. There's no way around that. They're hoping they can keep things rolling here, or actually get on track here going up against the Houston Astros, who are now 27 and 34 in the year. They've won 2 out of their last 3, but this is not where this team wanted to be at this point in the season. They're handing the ball in this one to Spencer Arrighetti, who's 3 and 5 on the year with a 5.98 ERA, but he's coming off probably, very likely his best start of the season there. Back on the 30th, he just went nuts against the Seattle Mariners. 6 innings of work, only 2 hits allowed. He walked 3 and struck out 8 without giving up a single run. So he's gotten stronger over the course of the season. There's no denying it, guys. And he's taking on a Cardinals team that's not great offensively. So maybe he could be in line here for another solid start. He's going to need to put in some good innings here, though, guys, because the Astros don't want that bullpen out there too long. It's not a terrible bullpen, don't get me wrong. It's right around league average with a 3.54 bullpen ERA. But yeah, not exactly a bullpen you can trust to just hand the ball to, even if Arrighetti gets knocked out of the game in the 3rd inning. You can't just hand him the ball and expect them to hold it down for the rest of the game. And the Astros offense, while they did score 7 runs in Game 1 of this series, hasn't been nearly as good as you would think they would be if you look at them on paper. I mean, 6th in the majors in on-base percentage, 3rd in the majors hitting almost .260 as a team, 5th in the majors slugging .414, but they're 12th in the majors in runs scored. This team, maybe they're just having some bad luck, but it's gone way too deep into the season, so it seems like some sort of systemic issue to me. And yeah, guys, just need a lot more here from the Astros bats. But in general, guys, looking at the numbers of this game, we see the Cardinals at plus 126, the Astros at minus 148, and we see an over-under of a 9 in this game. Houston is an MLB best, 36, 21, and 3 to the under. But with these two pitchers out there, guys, I'm not interested in the under. I'd be more interested in the Astros minus 148. Not that Houston's a great home team, but they looked good in Game 1 of this series, so I lean slightly towards Houston, but I think I have a very hard time backing Spencer Arrighetti here as a starting pitcher for one of my pinned comment plays. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road here to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Reds come into this game 27 and 33 on the season after winning Game 1 of this series, 13-3, so pretty impressive offensive outburst there. They're handing the ball in this one to Frankie Montas, who's 2 and 4 in the season with a 4.60 ERA. He's coming off of a decent but not great start against the Cardinals. We also can't help but notice that the Reds are 0 and 5 over his last 5 starts. Maybe not all of that has been his fault, but some of it definitely has been. I mean, also, pitching for the Reds, you can't expect a ton of run support. And in general, guys, the Reds' bullpen hasn't been great. They're 28th in the majors with a 4.15 bullpen ERA, so that's pretty terrible. Their offense also obviously not swinging the hottest bats over the course of the season. I mean, they're 29th in the majors, batting .220 as a squad. They are coming off of a couple, maybe we'll give them credit for 4 good offensive games in a row. I mean, they've scored 5, 5, 5, and 13 runs. So the bats definitely seem like they're coming alive. Can we trust them over the course of the season? No, but can we trust those bats right now? Maybe a slight lean towards yes. They're hoping they can keep scoring runs here going up against the Rockies, who got off to a pretty rocky start to Game 1 of this series. They're 21 and 38 on the season, handing the ball to Ty Blatch, who's 2 and 2 on the year with a 4.15 ERA, so not exactly an ERA or a situation you're to write home about. He has been very good over his last 2 starts against Cleveland and the Phillies, and we see the Rockies are 3 and 2 over his last 5 starts, so some positives here for Blatch for sure. I mean, he hasn't been a disaster lately, and looking at the Colorado bullpen, they are not exactly a bullpen. I mean, you're never going to be pumped to be pitching in Colorado, but they're 19th in the majors in bullpen ERA, so, you know, not the absolute worst. They are riding a 3-game losing streak right now, so that can't feel great, and the offense hasn't looked amazing. I mean, they've scored 3, 0, and 1 run over their last 3 games. Like, this is an offense that really is going to have to come alive for this team to have a lot of success, and I mean, when you're hitting a Coors Field, you would think you'd be able to do something out there, but in general, guys, they have not been doing a whole lot. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Reds at minus 135, the Rockies at plus 122, and we see an over-under of 11 or 10.5. Cincinnati's a bad road team. Colorado is a mediocre home team. I think I'm leaning slightly towards Colorado plus 122 in this game, but this isn't going to be a play that ends up in the pinned comment, guys. I mean, I have a little bit of faith here in Blatch, and I do think the Reds' offense has to cool off at some point. But yeah, I'm not going to be trying to catch a falling knife here and taking the Reds. So go ahead and give me the Rockies, I guess, but this isn't going in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we got the San Diego Padres going on the road here to take on the Los Angeles Angels. The Padres come into this game fresh off of that 2-1 loss. They just couldn't get anything going in that game. So annoying to see this offense continue to let us down. Yeah. Bad deal there. Did not like that. They're calling up their young prospect here to hand the ball to Adam Mazur. He's going to be making his first start of the year, his major league debut, I believe. He's only 23 years old. He's not a huge guy out there on the mound, so I kind of am expecting some pretty cool stuff from him. We'll see what he can actually do out there going up against major league hitters, and he's going to need to be pretty good because you don't want to see that Padres bullpen out there for very long. I mean, a 3.95 bullpen ERA is not great. Also, we see they're struggling offensively pretty hard. I mean, they scored 1, 3, and 7 runs over their last 3 games. Yeah, I don't know why this offense isn't good, guys. If you've got any idea, please let me know. They just cannot seem to find any consistency or get the job done very much over the long term. They're first in the majors in batting average, guys. They're batting .260 as a team, and they only managed to score 1 run against the Angels. Come on. This is getting a little bit ridiculous, guys. I mean, they're 8th in the majors in runs scored, and you score 1 run against the Angels. Whatever. I'm over it. This team, not a fun one to bet, not a fun one to back. They're going to be taking on the Angels, a team that's not having a great time at 22-38 on the season. They're handing the ball to Patrick Sandoval, who's 2-8 on the year with a 5.34 ERA. He's coming off a very good start against the Yankees, which is pretty shocking. I mean, he went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. It's a game we saw his team lose 8-3, though. And when you're looking at the Angels with the second worst bullpen ERA in the majors, it's not too shocking that despite their starter having a good outing, they weren't able to come away with the win. And the Angels' bats have obviously not been great. They've only scored a grand total of 2 runs over their last 3 games, so not having a very good time at the plate. Or 3 runs, sorry, I take it back. 3 runs over their last 3 games. Yeah, so not a very good offensive team. Not too shocked to see their numbers continue to go down with Trout out. And yeah, 19th in the majors, the run scored, 26th in the majors, getting on base at a 300 clip. This is not a good offensive team. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, you see the Padres at -102, the Angels at -116, an over-under of 8.5. The Padres are 18-11 on the road, so they're a solid road team. The Angels are a MLB worst 7-21 at home, so that's pretty terrible. Guys, go ahead and give me the Padres -102 in this one. I've got some faith here in Mazur, but this is not going into the pinned comment. I also lean slightly towards the over in this game a little bit. I think these offenses will eventually figure things out, but yeah, in general, give me the Padres if I have to bet this game, but please, for the love of God, don't make me bet this game. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Mariners come into this game winners of their last 3 in a row. We've seen the offense kind of come alive. They're up to 34-27 on the year. They're leading the way there in the AL West. They're handing the ball in this one to George Kirby, who's 4-5 on the season with a 4.08 ERA, but he's coming off a very good start against the Houston Astros. I mean, he looked good in that one for sure. 6 innings, 6 hits, only a single earned run while striking out 8 and walking 0. He actually has only given up 1 walk, 2 walks total over his last 5 starts. So that's very, very solid stuff. He had some trouble there with the Orioles and the Washington Nationals, but it seems like he's back on track now. I mean, he had a very good start back on the 13th against the Kansas City Royals. So seems like it's a guy that he's a guy we can definitely trust to pitch much better at home than he does on the road. So yeah, definitely looking at him as a positive plus level starter, and the Seattle bullpen has also been very good, easily top 10 in the majors. So that's a bullpen you can trust to hand the ball to whenever Kirby needs to come out. You trust them to hold things down, and this offense is really coming alive, guys. They've scored 5, 9, and 5 runs over the last 3 games. They're playing really well right now, swinging the bats well. No complaints from me right now about how the Mariners look, guys. I mean, over the course of the season, their offensive numbers aren't great, but right now they're swinging some pretty hot bats, and they're taking on an Oakland A's team that's not having a great time, guys. They're 1-4 over the last 5 games. They're 24-37 on the year. Handing the ball in this one to Mitch Spence, who's yet to figure in a result this season. His last 3 outings have been starts, and they've been pretty reasonable, guys. Don't get me wrong. I mean, 5 innings, 1 hit allowed against the Rays. Obviously, that's amazing. 3 innings, 5 hits, and 2 earned runs allowed against the Colorado Rockies. That's not great. His start against the Kansas City Royals, he went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, a single earned run. I mean, it's just not a guy that I'm super high on. I can't trust him to go deep into games. He does have an outing against Seattle back on the 11th. He came out of the bullpen for that one and pitched 1 inning, gave up 1 hit and no runs. So not a huge sample size, obviously, but in general, guys, the Oakland A's bullpen, which you can kind of expect to get to in this one, is the worst in the majors. So that's pretty telling. A 4.25 bullpen ERA ranks them 30th in the MLB. So in general, guys, even if the A's bats find a way to come alive, which they haven't been doing lately, it has not been a very good offensive team all season long. We are leaning towards the Mariners -1.5 in this game. If you take a minus at 1.5, you can get them at +112. This is not an A's team that I'm afraid of. Seattle's not great on the road, but I think Kirby's in for a good start. I think Spence is in for a short and or bad start, and that A's bullpen is terrible. Last but not least, here we've got the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Giants come into this game fresh off of a 5th straight loss. They lost game 1 of this series 4-2. Probably pretty disappointed in that. They're handing the ball in this one to Kyle Harrison, who's 4-2 in the year with a 4.15 ERA, coming off of just getting absolutely decimated by the Phillies his last time out. He hasn't been having that great of a time over his last 4 starts in general. I mean, against the Phillies, he did manage to limit it to only 4 earned runs, but he gave up 12 hits in 5 innings, guys. Not great stuff. I mean, it's the Phillies, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack, but still, not looking amazing his last time out. And in general, guys, the Giants bullpen has been pretty good, so if they get to their bullpen, they can be in fairly decent shape. I mean, they're 10th in the majors with a 3.33 bullpen ERA. Their offense, though, has been terrible recently. I mean, 2 runs, 5 runs, 3 runs, 2 runs, 1 run, like, not a great offensive team lately. They did go on a little spree there for a bit, but right now things are looking pretty rough. 14th in the majors in runs scored over the course of the season. They're 19th in the majors in slugging percentage over the course of the year. Nobody's particularly killing the ball for them over the course of the season, so nobody I'm super scared to face if I'm their opponent. So yeah, not a ton of great things to say about the Giants right now. They're taking on the Diamondbacks, who have now won 3 in a row. They're 28-32 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Blake Walston. He has yet to figure in a result this season. He's 0-0 with a 2.16 ERA, coming off a good but pretty short start there against the Marlins. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs. He walked 1 and struck out 4. Definitely a much better outing than his start back on the 1st against the Dodgers, where he got shelled. But in general, guys, he looked pretty decent his last time out. The Diamondbacks bullpen comes into this game not that great a shape. I mean, they're 21st in the majors with a 3.80 bullpen ERA, so that's not amazing. This offense has been looking good lately, though, guys. 4, 5, and 10, and 9 runs over their last 4. They are only 3-1 over that stretch, so they did lose that one game to the Mets 10-9, which is pretty wild. But this is an offense that's shown flashes this year for sure. I mean, they're 9th in the majors still in runs scored and 9th in the majors in on base percentage, but I have some question marks about them. I mean, do I think they can score some runs against Kyle Harrison? Yeah, I definitely think they can. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to actually do in this game. But in general, guys, the numbers for this one don't entice me too much. We see the Giants at +100. We see the Diamondbacks at -108. And we see an over-under of 9 in this game. We see mixed trends from these two teams towards the over-under. The Giants are a bad road team, but Arizona is only 13-15 at home. If you're forcing me to bet this game, guys, I think I like Blake Walston out there a little bit better than I like Kyle Harrison, but not a ton. So I lean slightly towards the Diamondbacks -108 at home, but this one is not going in the pinned comment for me. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.